All right, so Quentin Tarantino has made no bones about the fact that he doesn't like cops. Let's remember what he said about cops a couple months ago.
I am a human being with a conscience. And when I see murder, I cannot stand by. And I have to call the murdered, and I have to call the murderers, the murderers.
All right, so that was back in the fall, and now he is talking about the Confederate flag in a new interview, and unfortunately we don't have a lot more context than this particular quote, which he talks about. He says, all of a sudden, people start talking about the Confederacy in America in a way they haven't before. I mean, I've always felt the rebel flag was some American swastika, end quote. Of course, the rebel flag is featured prominently in his new film, The Hateful Eight, so that's where this conversation
And he's
came
promoting
from.
his film. I mean,
right,
you know,
that was during an interview.
I don't think he knows anything about the Confederacy. I mean, I would be shocked if Quentin Tarantino could name 3 Civil War battles if his life depended on it. He's no historian, obviously. He's a pop movie maker. This is an attack by the elites on middle American culture. Using the Confederacy and the battle flag and all that stuff, they're just symbols to them of what they believe is the backward culture between Malibu and Georgetown. They basically have contempt. I'm serious.
No,
for people in the middle of the country.
I believe you.
You know what they're like? It's like they look out and they're like, man, in there, everyone's in the Klan. You know, they eat pork rinds, they watch NASCAR, they're horrible.
And yet, not to defend him, but to play a devil's advocate, because we don't have more context from this quote, but if he is talking about that both flags or both symbols are controversial, then he's accurate. The swastika was co-opted by the Nazis. It was used hundreds and hundreds of years before the Nazis ever got their hands on it. Hindus and Buddhists use it still in there as a religious symbol. The Confederate battle flag has been used by white supremacist groups in this country, separating itself from the battle flag of the Confederacy. They still use it.
Well, I'm not coming from a guy, by the way, who has so many violent movies. And, I mean, when he was actually asked or challenged on the fact that he, you know, is there some sort of correlation with violence in society? And, you know, people watching these movies where, you know, you just see this extreme graphic violence, he shut the reporter down.
No,
he's like, not dealing with it.
Look, I'm not even defending the Confederate flag. I mean, they declared war on America, and I'm against that.
Right.
I would just, and I'm not from the South, but I would say that he is not making a reasonable point here. He's making the point that the president always makes, that the real threat is middle America. They have too many guns. They're into this Christianity thing. You know what I mean? They're opposed to abortion. They have all kinds of medieval views that are a threat to America. That is the view from Hollywood. It's the view from New York. It's the view from Washington. And it really is an attack on, like, middle American culture.
Let us know what you think about it. Go to our Facebook page this morning. You can weigh in on Quentin Tarantino's latest interview.